We're going to make him our IT person. All right, so we've had the motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
I really want to thank you guys.
We're not finished.
I know, but my secretary.
The last item of business for the that the master plan committee sent to us was a copy of the request for proposals. You've had a chance to read it, Bill?
Yes. The only comment I'd make on it is it seeks to get a flat fee bid or proposal in that without really the scope defined and the project defined. I think you're going to be very limited in what you're going to get back as a response, or you're going to get a very wide range or high range of prices. I don't know whether you want to consider doing an hourly or setting that, or leaving it open to either bidding it either way, and then the town, or proposals either way, and then the town considering what to accept at that point in time. But without a real clear idea, I think it's awfully hard for someone to say, I'll bid it at X price.
Well, maybe we should tighten up the scope.
Do you have, did you have any particular editings for this?
That was my only comment, was the issue of the flat fee may be limiting in terms of what you get out.
Do you remember where that was?
Yes, the last, I don't have.
Yeah.
Towards the back.
It's in the pricing part of it in terms of deliverables and that.
Under deliverables.
Let me just, cost and payment schedule, plus the total cost.
What page is that?
I'm sorry, it's on page 4. Consultant shall provide a fixed fee cost estimate separately for each work scope item in section 3, plus the total cost for the entire project. Again, I don't know what the idea, if you're looking at different issues in terms of this, you've got the master plan document, the review of it, you've got the scoping of work to do, then you've got the potential for drafting, seeker, and then the ultimate drafting of legislation. I don't know if those are all going to be separately bid out, whether they're going to be on an hourly basis or going to be on a flat fee. So again, I think that needs to be spelled out.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
So there is a work scope with 4 items in it. Do you think that needs to be more detailed? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I think the problem right now is, is it a complete project? Is it from soup to nuts? Is it from the document as it now exists until it's passed, which is a huge potential chunk of work, or is it just to review what we have now and make limited recommendations, or is it to carry it to adoption?
Well, so those are all identified as different portions of the scope of work, and they're asked to be bid on separately or to be priced separately.
Yeah, well, the issue with fixed fees on that is unless they can really have an idea of how the committee's going to work and how the document that they're going to review, and then a time frame for passage. So for instance, if I said to you that this has to be done in 5 months, the bid may change as, this is going to, we've had this experience, for instance, when we've had bids on things like the water reports and that. I mean, it's usually a question, and most consultants operate on an hourly basis rather than a fixed fee. I just think that if you have them quote both, what they would do, and they have the option to quote either or both, then you'd have a much better response back, and you'd probably get a wider range of people looking to bid. You'll then be able to compare what, and they should bid on, what normally happens is you bid on things like what the cost for the professional is, for the project manager, for the associates, for the document preparation. There's even sometimes they'll break it down like word processing persons or data entry persons, and then that, so you can get a better range of what you're going to get.
I think the reason that we didn't do that as a community was that we didn't really have an idea of hours that we could put in and say this is going to be the budget, because we didn't know exactly how many hours they were going to spend. And we felt that it was better, because we're giving them all of the documents that we have, and they're all going to be available to them, that it was much better to go by a scope of work. And we further put down fixed fee not to exceed for anything over what the scope of work was, and to define things like what it's going to cost to photocopy something, and whatever in-house cost would be. So we thought we had nailed that down as well. We also thought that we defined where exactly where the scope of work was going to stop for this committee, and we pretty much said we may go forward to zoning, but we don't have to. And we also asked for, and I don't know if you got the cover letter to this, but we also told them that while seeker was not the responsibility of this committee, we would appreciate if they wanted to call in that separately, because that's going to be a town board responsibility. So I thought we had covered it, but those things are not clear.
I would go back to my recollections, and it's just that when we had Art Road from Planners East do the zoning update back in 1993, I think it was. And all of those deliverables, I mean, seeker is going to be required, particularly depending on the master plan, you may end up having to have a DGEIS and all of that documentation. My general response was, from what I read in here, I think you're going to get huge numbers. I think you're going to get, people that are going to say, well, we can't quote you, if you want a fixed fee number, then fixed fees number is going to be X, and X is going to be, a very big number, because I think the concern is going to be the project isn't, you can't wrap your arms around the project yet. I mean, it's been 4 or 5 years in existence now, and what is it going to be? So my concern is are people not going to bid it because they just don't think they can give you a number that will be reasonable or will be awarded? And I don't know whether an hourly rate gives you better choice. I mean, at any event, you control who you select. You may end up, it may be fine, you go through the RFP. If you get what you like, great. If you don't, then you're going to have to rebid it and figure out what. You need to have the flexibility to award only what you want, what you need, because you don't want to have to, just take one. What happens if one person bids, and it's a huge number.
Yeah, I understand the point, and appreciate that point, but we did discuss it. I would think the town board would want to know how much they're getting into for a consultant. That's the reason, the main reason we wanted to fix fee contracts rather than have it open-ended. And I'd also point out that we looked at the processes that were undertaken by several towns around here, including the town of Washington, the town of New Paltz, and Anchorage also. I know that New Paltz and Washington both bid on a fixed fee basis with scopes of work similar in detail to the They did get a range of bids, but we also gave that free.
We didn't want to get into the hourly, every little thing they accounted for. We wanted an overall concept, and I think with the documents attached to this, it's really, this is what we want you to do. And I think how the consultants respond to the RFP are going to depend on where their expertise is and what they have in-house to support this. I just am really not comfortable with an hourly wage on this, because you can just go out of line.
Jerry?
I would like to suggest to the board that before you create this bureaucracy, that you yourself have the approval of how much this is going to cost. I can't imagine that. I mean,
Jerry,
I have never heard that there's a budget.
There's not a budget
How
because,
could you make a committee?
Jerry,
without a budget?
there's not a budget because we don't know. We're not starting from scratch.
That's true.
All right.